Hoy, anong tinitingin-tingin mo dyan? Magnanakaw ka no? Sabay buhos ng isang tabong tubig dagat na pinagbabara ng mga isda. Diretso sa mukha ng estrangherong lalaki na kanina pa palakad-lakad at pasilip-silip sa pwesto nila Daisy sa palengke ng barangay Amihan. Gulat na gulat yung lalaki, basang-basa, amoy malansa. Good. Serves him right. Akala niya siguro, porket babae si Daisy at maliit tingnan, pwede na siyang pag-interesan. Miss, ano ba? Hindi ako magnanakaw, sigaw pabalik nung lalaki, halatang iritado pero mas mukhang miserable. Nakasuot ito ng kupasing t-shirt, medyo punit na maong, at sinelas na halatang laspag na. Mukhang bagong salta sa amihan, at base sa itsura, mukhang hirap sa buhay. Pero may kakaiba sa tindig niya, sa paraan ng pagtitig niya, na parang hindi bagay sa itsura niya. Ano ka pala? Turista? Naligaw? Kolektor ng amoy ng isda, sunod-sunod na tanong ni Daisy, nakapamaywang pa, yung matalim niyang kutsilyo na panghiwa ng isda, nakasuksok pa sa gilid ng kanyang palda. Hindi siya basta-basta nagpapatalo, lalo na sa mga mukhang may masamang balak. Siya si Daisy, ang tea-prinsesa ng tilapia tinang amihan, palaban at hindi urungan. Naghahanap ako ng trabaho, sabi nung lalaki, medyo napahiya na sa eksena. Pinupunasan niya yung mukha niya ng likod ng kamay, lalong kumalat yung dumi at kaliskis ng isda. Trabaho? Dito. Sa palengke. Daisy raised a skeptical eyebrow. Anong alam mo sa trabaho dito? Mukha kang ang hindi pa nakakahawak ng walis tingting sa buong buhay mo. Sakto namang dumating si Mang Resty, ang tatay ni Daisy, bitbit ang isang malaking banyera ng bagong huling mga isda. Oh, Daisy, anak, ano ng kaguluhan to? Itay, itong lalaking to, kanina pa parang akyat bahay kung makatingin sa pwesto natin. Akala ko na nakawan tayo, sumbong ni Daisy. Yung lalaki, biglang lumapit kay Mang Resty, nagmano pa. Magandang umaga po. Ako po si Miko. Nagbabaka sakali lang po sana kung may pwede po akong maitulong dito sa pwesto nyo. Kahit anong trabaho po, papasukin ko. Kailangan ko lang po talaga ng pagkakakitaan. Ang boses niya, magalang pero maihalong desperation. Napatingin si Mang Resty kay Miko mula ulo hanggang paa. Tipikal na itsura ng mga dayon na naghahanap ng swerte sa kanilang maliit na barangay sa tabi ng dagat. Marunong ka bang magbuhat, iho? Magkarga ng isda? Maglinis ng pwesto? Mabilis na tumango si Miko. Opo. Sanay po ako sa mabibigat na trabaho. Liar, Daisy thought. Yung mga kamay niya, kahit marumi ngayon, halatang hindi sanay sa kalyo. Itay, wag niyo na pong patulan yan, singit ni Daisy. Mukhang modus lang yan. Daisy, anak, saway ni Mang Resty. Bigyan natin ng pagkakataon. Alam mo namang kulang tayo sa tao mula nung umalis si Carding. At Pasko na sa susunod na linggo, dadagsa ang mga mamimili. Kailangan natin ng dagdag na kamay. Tumingin ulit si Mang Resty kay Miko. CJ, iho. Pwede kang magsimula ngayon. Pero pag nalaman kong may kalokohan kang ginagawa, ako mismo ang magpapalaya sa'yo. Nako, maraming salamat po, Tay Este, Mang Resty, sabi ni Miko, yung mukha niya, biglang nagliwanag. Para siyang nanalo sa loto. Daisy just rolled her eyes. Great. Dagdag pa to sa iisipin niya. Pero utos ng tatay niya, kaya wala siyang magawa. Sige na, Miko, sabi niya, with exaggerated emphasis on his name. Magtrabaho ka na. At wag kang haharang-harang sa dinadaanan ko, kundi baka hindi lang tubig dagat ang abutin mo sa akin. Miko just gave her small, almost apologetic smile. Yung ngiting yun, parang may kung anong kumiliti sa loob-loob ni Daisy. Word. The rest of the morning was chaotic dance of fish scales, eyes, and demanding customers. Miko, true to his word, tried his best nagbuhat siya ng mga banyera, kahit halatang hirap na hirap, nag-igib ng tubig, nag-ayos ng mga paninda. He was clumsy, inexperienced, and clearly out of his element. Minsan, muntik na siyang madulas sa basang sahig. Minsan, yung mga isdang inaayos niya, mas marami pang nalalaglag kaysa sa nailalagay ng maayos sa display. Daisy couldn't help but watch him, mixture of amusement and annoyance on her face. Sino ba kasi itong Miko na to? Saan siya galing? At bakit parang may tinatago siya? Yung pananalita niya, kahit pilit ginagawang pangkaraniwan, may tono ng edukado. Yung mga kilos niya, kahit clumsy, may bakas ng pinong pagpapalaki. Habang naghihiwa si Daisy ng isang malaking tulingan, expertly slicing through flesh and bone with practiced ease, she felt his eyes on her. Pasimplo siyang sumulyap. Nakatitig nga si Miko sa kanya, hindi sa isda, kundi sa kanya. There was an intensity in his gaze, a curiosity that made her uncomfortable. Parang sinusuri siya, inaaral. Anong tinitingin-tingin mo? Mataray niyang tanong, without looking up from her work. Nag-iwas agad ng tingin si Miko, namumula ang tenga. Oh, wala. Napapahanga lang ako sa galing mong maghiwa ng isda. Parang ang dali-dali lang sayo. Daisy smirked. Sanayan lang yan. Subukan mo, baka daliri mo ang mahiwa mo. She expertly filleted the fish, her movements quick and precise. Palink life had taught her to be tough, to be skilled. Hindi pwedeng pa-AC-AC lang dito. Later, during irrealul, nakita ni Daisy si Miko na nakaupo sa isang tabi, pinupunasan ang pawis sa noo, halatang pagod na pagod. May hawak itong isang maliit na, medyo luma ng notebook at ballpen, may isinusulat. Anong sinusulat niya? Resibo. Listahan ng utang. O baka naman love letter para sa isa sa mga dalagang taga-amihan. The thought brought an unexpected and unwelcome prickle of something. Selos? Impossible. Kakakilala pa lang nila. At isa pa, kaaway niya tong lalaking to, di ba? Pero hindi maalis sa isip ni Daisy yung mga titig ni Miko. Yung paraan ng pagtingin niya sa kanya habang naghihiwa siya ng isda. It wasn't just admiration for her skills. It felt deeper. More personal. Intriga. Yun ang nararamdaman niya. Sino ka ba talaga, Miko? At ano nang kailangan mo dito sa Gilhis? Amihan, bukod sa trabaho. The palink was starting to wind down for the day. Nagliligpit na sila ng paninda. Miko, despite his exhaustion, was still trying to be helpful, sweeping the floor, wiping down the counters. Hoy, Miko, tawag ni Daisy. Lumingon ito, medyo gulat. Bakit, Daisy? Nilapitan siya ni Daisy, may hawak na isang baso ng malamig na tubig. O, sabi niya, iniabot ang baso. Mukhang uhaw na uhaw ka na. Baka himatayin ka pa dyan, dagdag trabaho pa namin. Miko stared at the glass of water, then at Daisy, a surprised but grateful look on his face. Salamat, Daisy. Kinuha niya ang baso at ininom yun ng mabilis. Huwag kang mag-thank you, sabi ni Daisy, trying to sound nonchalant. Part yan ng benefits mo bilang pahinante. Isang basong tubig. Galing sa kaaway. She gave him a sarcastic smile. Miko chuckled, a low, pleasant sound that, for some reason, made Daisy's heart do a little flip. Kaaway pa rin pala ang tingin mo sa akin. Aba, naman, sagot ni Daisy. Hanggat hindi mo pinapatunayan na hindi ka magnanakaw o manloloko, kaaway kita. Pero yung ngiti sa labi niya, hindi na kasing sarkastiko. May halong something else. Something that felt dangerously close to amusement. Or worse, kilig. Impossible. As they finished cleaning up, Mang Rusty clapped Miko on the shoulder. Magaling ka naman pala, iho, kahit medyo lampa pa sa umpisa. Bukas ulit, ha? Mas maaga dapat. Opo, Mang Rusty. Maraming salamat po ulit. Miko said, his face beaming. Daisy just watched them, a strange feeling stirring in her chest. This Miko, he was an enigma. A walking contradiction. Mukhang mahirap pero may aura ng hindi pangkaraniwan. Lampa pero masipag. At yung mga titig niya. Yun ang pinaka nakakaintriga sa lahat. Ano kaya ang tinatago niya? At bakit, sa kabila ng inis niya dito, parang may kung anong parte sa kanya na gustong malaman ang mga sagot. The sun was setting over Amihan, painting the eve in fiery hues. Daisy walked home with her father, leaving Miko to find his own way. Pero kahit nakatalikod na siya, pakiramdam niya, nakatitig pa rin ito sa kanya. At yung isang basong tubig na ibinigay niya, parang may mas malalim na kahulugan yun kaysa sa inaakala niya. Isang basong tubig. Galing sa kaaway. O baka naman sa hindi pa niya kilalang kaibigan. O baka masigit pa? The thought was both terrifying and exhilarating. The intrigue was just beginning. The next few days at the Palanque settled into a routine, albeit clumsy one for Miko. Patuloy siyang nagkakamali, may natatapon na isda, may nababasag na yelo, minsan pa nga, muntik nang maibagsak ang isang buong kaing ng galunggong. Daisy, true to her feisty nature, would scold him relentlessly, her voice echoing through their small section of the market. Hoy, Miko! Ano ba yan? Dahan-dahan naman. Akala mo ba namumulot lang kami ng isda sa daan? Pero sa kabila ng mga pagkakamali at sigaw ni Daisy, Miko persevered. He would just apologize sheepishly, sorry, Daisy. Sorry po, Mang Resty. Pagbubutihin ko po, and then purify again, determined look on his face. At napapansin ni Daisy, unti-unti, nagiging mas maingat na siya, mas natututo. Yung dating sobrang lampa, medyo nagkakaroon na ng koordinasyon. And then there were the stares. Yung mga titig ni Miko. Palihim siyang sumusulyap kay Daisy habang nag-aayos ito ng paninda, habang nakikipagtawaran sa mga suki, habang tumatawa sa mga biro ng tatay niya. It wasn't creepy stare, Daisy noted. It was more curious. Observant. Minsan, parang may halong paghanga. At yun ang mas lalong nagpapailang kay Daisy. Masakit ang katawan niya sa pagod sa pagtatrabaho, pero mas masakit yung titig ni Miko na parang tumatagos sa kaluluwa niya. Ano bang meron sa lalaking to? One afternoon, habang pauwi na sila, sakay ng lumang tricycad ng pamilya nila na puno ng mga natirang isda at gamit, nangyari ang di inaasahan. Medyo mabilis ang takbo ng tricycad, at sa isang biglaang liko, nawala ng balanse si Miko na nakaupo sa likuran kasama ng mga banyera. Blag! Nahulog si Miko. Diretso sa maalikabok na kalsada. Ay, kabayo, napasigaw si Daisy. Agad namang pinahinto ni Mang Resty ang tricycad. Pagbaba nila, nakita nila si Miko, nakahandusay sa lupa, medyo gumulong pa. For a second, Daisy didn't know whether to laugh or get angry. Ang lampa talaga. Pero nung makita niyang napangiwi ito sa sakit at hawak-hawak ang isang braso, biglang nag-alala si Daisy. Miko! Okay ka lang, sigaw ni Mang Resty, nilapitan agad ito. Aray! Aray ko po, daing ni Miko, pilit na bumabangon. May gasgas siya sa braso at sa tuhod, at yung damit niya, lalong dumumi. Okay lang po ako, Mang Resty. Medyo nawalan lang po ng kapit. Anong okay? Tingnan mo nga yung braso mo, dumudugo, sabi ni Daisy, lumapit na rin, yung inis niya napalitan ng pag-aalala. Ang sabi kasing kumapit kang mabuti eh. Ang kulit mo kasi. Kahit naninermon, may halong concern sa boses niya. Tinulungan nila si Miko na makatayo. Halatang iniinda nito ang sakit. Kaya ko pa pong maglakad, sabi ni Miko, pero nung sinubukan niyang ihakbang ang isang paa, napangiwi ulit siya. Mukhang na-sprain yung bukong-bukong niya. Nako, hindi pwede yan, sabi ni Mang Resty. Daisy, anak, tulungan mo si Mikong sumakay ulit. Dahan-dahan lang. With much effort, and a lot of arate from Miko, naisakay nila ulit ito sa tricycad. This time, inalalayan na siya ni Daisy para hindi na ulit mahulog. Their shoulders brushed, and Daisy felt that familiar, unwelcome jolt. She quickly looked away, pretending to be busy with a loose strap on one of the banyeras. Pagdating nila sa maliit nilang kubo sa tabi ng dagat, halatang masama na ang pakiramdam ni Miko. Pinaupo nila ito sa lumang papag. Kinapa ni Daisy ang noo nito. Mainit. Sobrang init. Naku, nilalagnat ka yata, Miko, sabi ni Daisy, yung boses niya, hindi na mataray. Tunay na pag-aalala na. Hindi, okay lang ako, sabi ni Miko, pero yung boses niya, nanghihina na. Pagod lang siguro. Anong pagod, sabi ni Mang Resty. Nahulog ka, nagasgasan, tapos ngayon nilalagnat ka. Kailangan mong magpahinga. Kumuha si Mang Resty ng kumot at unan. Dito ka na muna sa papag, iho. Daisy, anak, ipagluto mo naman ng mainit na lugaw si Miko. Yun ang pinakamagandang gamot sa lagnat. Lugaw. Itay naman, alam niyo namang magrereklamo sana si Daisy. Hindi siya sanay mag-alaga ng kaaway. Pero nung makita niya yung namumutla at nahihirapang mukha ni Miko, bigla siyang naawa. At yung utos ng tatay niya, hindi niya pwedeng suwayin. Sige na, Itay, sabi na lang ni Daisy at pumunta na sa maliit nilang kusina. Habang nagluluto si Daisy ng lugaw, simpleng lugaw lang na may konting luya at bawang, yung laging niluluto ng nanay niya, pag maisakit sila noon, hindi niya maiwasang sumulyap kay Miko. Nakahiga na ito sa papag, nakapikit, pero halatang hindi komportable. Pinupunasan nito ang pawis sa noo gamit ang likod ng kamay. Daisy felt a strange pang in her chest. Awa. Siguro. O baka naman. Yung sinasabi nilang maternal instinct. Ewan. Ang alam lang niya, kailangan ng tulong ng lalaking to. At kahit gaano pa siya kainis dito minsan, hindi niya kayang talikuran ang taong nangangailangan. Nang maluto ang lugaw, dinala ito ni Daisy kay Miko. Dahan-dahan niyang tinulungan si Mikong umupo. Oh, Miko, kainin mo to habang mainit pa, sabi niya, medyo awkward pa rin. Miko opened his eyes, a weak smile on his lips. Salamat, Daisy. Nakakahiya naman sayo. Kumain ka na lang. Huwag ka ng maraming satsat, sabi ni Daisy, trying to sound dismissive, pero hindi niya mapigilan ang sarili na alalayan si Miko habang sumusubo ito ng lugaw. Mainit ang hininga nito at naamoy ni Daisy ang kakaibang scent niya, yung pinaghalong pawis, dagat, at yung soble, clean scent na naamoy niya nung una silang nagkita. It was intoxicating in a strange way. After a few spoonfuls, Miko stopped. Ang sarap, Daisy, he whispered, his voice hoarse. Parang luto ng nanay ko. Daisy felt her cheeks warm. Bolero. Simpleng lugaw lang yan. Miko looked at her then, his eyes, though feverish, held that same intense gaze that always made Daisy uncomfortable, yet strangely drawn. Alam mo bang ang lambot ng puso mo kapag walang audience, Daisy, he whispered, his voice barely audible. Kanina sa palengke ang taray-taray mo. Pero ngayon para kang anghel. Natigilan si Daisy. Yung puso niya biglang kumabog ng malakas. Ang lambot ng puso mo. Anong ibig niyang sabihin? At bakit parang may kung anong kilig siyang naramdaman sa sinabi nito? She quickly looked away, her face burning. Anong pinagsasabi mo dyan? Nilalagnat ka lang kaya kung ano-ano na ang lumalabas sa bibig mo. Tumayo siya bigla. Magpahinga ka na. Babantayan na lang kita yung lugaw baka lumamig. Nagpanik siya. What was she saying? Miko just chuckled weakly, then closed his eyes again. Daisy sat on a small stool few feet away, pretending to be busy with something, but her eyes kept drifting back to Miko. Anghel daw siya. Kung alam lang nito kung gaano kademonita ang ugali niya minsan. Pero yung sinabi nito tumagos iyon sa kanya. For the rest of the afternoon, Daisy quietly took care of Miko. Pinupunasan niya ito ng basang bimpo pag pinagpapawisan. Pinapainom ng tubig. Tinitiyak na komportable ito. Si Mang Resty naman, lumabas sandali para bumili ng gamot. Habang natutulog si Miko, pinagmasdan ni Daisy ang mukha nito. Ngayon lang niya napansin, kahit payat at mukhang pagod, may itsura pala tong si Miko. Yung mga pilik mata niya, mahahaba. Yung ilong niya, matangos. Yung mga labi niya. Daisy quickly shook her head. Ano ba tong iniisip niya? Kaaway niya to, di ba? Pero yung mga titig niya kanina. Yung sinabi niyang malambot ang puso niya. Daisy sighed. This Miko was puzzle. A very intriguing, very confusing puzzle. At natatakot siya, na baka sa kagustuhan niyang isolve ang puzzle na iyon, yung sarili niyang puso ang malagay sa alanganin. Masakit ang katawan ni Miko dahil sa pagkakahulog. Pero si Daisy, may ibang sakit siyang nararamdaman. Yung sakit ng kuryosidad, ng pag-aalala, at ng isang damdamin na hindi pa niya kayang pangalanan. At mas masakit yung titig ni Miko. Titig na parang nakikita ang totoong siya, sa likod ng mataray niyang tindera ng isda persona. At yun ang pinaka-nakakatakot sa lahat. Ilang araw din ang lumipas bago tuluyang gumaling si Miko. At sa mga araw na yun, kahit pilit itinatanggi ni Daisy, hindi niya maiwasang alagaan ito. Siya ang naghahanda ng pagkain, nagpapainom ng gamot, minsan pa nga, nagpupunas ng likod nito, pag masyado na itong pinagpapawisan dahil sa lagnat. Awkward. Sobra. Pero may parte sa kanya na hindi naman nagrereklamo. Miko, for his part, was surprisingly gentle. Hindi na siya kasing defensive o kasing ilag tulad nung una. He would thank her softly, his eyes often holding that same intense, unreadable gaze that both unnerved and intrigued Daisy. Yung mga simpleng kisalamat, daisik niya, parang may kasamang kakaibang bigat, kakaibang init. At si Daisy, nahuhuli niya ang sarili niyang napapangiti pag wala si Miko. Yung dating inis, napapalitan na ng ano nga ba to? Curiosity. Definitely. Pag-aalala. Medyo. Kilig. Impossible. Paulit-ulit niyang sinasabi sa sarili. Pero yung puso niya, parang may sariling isip. One afternoon, habang naglalakad si Daisy pauwi galing sa paghahatid ng paninda sa isang suki, napatitig siya sa reflection niya sa bintana ng isang nakasaradong tindahan. Simple lang siya, naka-shorts, lumang t-shirt, sinelas. Amoy araw, amoy isda. Hindi ako sapat dati, hindi pa rin ako sapat ngayon, bulong niya sa sarili, a familiar wave of lungkot washing over her. Naalala niya si Marcos Imperial. Ang gwapo, matalino, at ubod ng yamang doktor na minsan niyang naging ultimate crush noong high school. Si Ilchi Marcos, na anak ng mayor nila noon, ay nag-volunteer ng ilang buwan sa health center ng Birshiv. Amihan. At si Daisy, na tindera lang ng isda, ay palihim na humahanga dito. Minsan, naglakas loob siyang magbigay ng isang supot ng sariwang tilapia kay si Marcos bilang pasasalamat daw sa serbisyo nito sa barangay. Ang totoo, palusot lang niya iyon para mapansin siya. Ang reaksyon ni si Marcos. Isang malamig na tingin, isang pilit na ngiti. Salamat, Hija. Pero hindi ako kumakain ng ganyan. Sabay abot ng tilapia sa isang nurse na parang diring-diri pa. The humiliation had stung Daisy deeply. Sa harap pa ng mga nurse na halatang nagpipigil ng tawa. That day, she made the vow, hinding-hindi na siya magkakagusto sa mayaman. They lived in different worlds. They spoke different languages. At higit sa lahat, they had different standards of what was acceptable. The memory still brought a fresh pang of galit and hiya. Kaya itong si Miko, kahit ano pa ang nararamdaman niyang kakaiba, para dito, kailangan niyang pigilan. Mahirap si Miko. Pero yung mga titig niya, yung mga kilos niya minsan parang may tinatagong yaman. O baka naman, imagination lang niya yun. Overthinking, ika nga. That evening, a few days after Miko had fully recovered and was back to his clumsy but earnest work at the palanque, Daisy was surprised to find him waiting for her sa tapat ng kubo nila. May dala itong isang tangkay ng puting rosas, medyo lantana, na halatang pinilit lang isalba. Daisy, Miko began, looking nervous. Para sa'yo. Iniabot niya ang rosas. Daisy stared at the flower, then at Miko. Anong kalokohan to, Miko? Saan mo naman ninakaw yan? Hindi to ninakaw. Miko protested, a flush creeping up his neck. Binili ko yan. Sa tapat ng simbahan. Medyo nalanta lang sa bayahe. Daisy took the rose, a skeptical look on her face. At bakit mo naman ako bibigyan ng bulaklak? May atraso ka ba sa akin na hindi ko alam? Miko chuckled, a bit nervously. Wala naman. Gusto ko lang magpasalamat. Sa pag-aalaga mo sa akin nung may sakit ako. At sa lugaw. Masarap yung lugaw mo. Sus, yun lang pala, sabi ni Daisy, trying to sound nonchalant, pero yung puso niya, nagwawala na naman. Trabaho ko yun. Utos ni Itay. Pero kinuha niya pa rin ang rosas at inilagay sa isang baso ng tubig. It actually looked sweet. They sat on the small bamboo bench outside their kubo, watching the waves crash onto the shore. The silence between them was comfortable, a stark contrast to their usual bickering in the palanque. Daisy, Miko said softly, breaking the silence. Naniwala ka na bang may taong mamahalin ka, di dahil sa itsura mo lang? O sa kung anong meron ka? The question caught Daisy off guard. It was too close to what she was thinking earlier. Too close to her insecurities about si Marcos. Anong klaseng tanong yan, Miko? Daisy said, her voice suddenly defensive. Kung ano-ano na namang naiisip mo. Seryoso ako, Daisy, Miko insisted, his gaze earnest. Kasi ako naniniwala ako na yung totoong pagmamahal, hindi tumitingin sa labas. Nakikita niya yung nasa loob. Yung puso. He looked at her then, his eyes searching hers. At yung puso mo, Daisy kahit gaano mo pa itago sa likod ng pagtataray mo, alam kong mabuti yan. Daisy felt her walls crumbling. This man, how could he see through her so easily? How could he say the things her heart longed to hear, yet feared to believe? Huwag mo akong lokohin, Miko, she said, her voice barely a whisper, laced with pain she thought she had buried long ago. Hindi mo ako kilala. Hindi mo alam kung ano nang pinagdaanan ko. Maybe not, Miko admitted. Pero gusto kitang makilala, Daisy. Gusto kong malaman lahat. Yung mga tawa mo, yung mga pangarap mo, pati na rin yung mga sakit na tinatago mo. He reached out and gently touched her hand, the one that wasn't holding the lopsided rose. His touch was warm, surprisingly comforting. Daisy pulled her hand away as if burned. Hindi pwede, Miko, she said, standing up abruptly. The fear, the old vow, the memory of si Marcos' disdain, it all came rushing back. Hindi ako para sa'yo. At hindi ka para sa akin. Paano mo nasabi? Miko asked, his voice laced with a hint of sadness. Basta. Daisy cried, frustration welling up inside her. Hindi ako makikinig sa mayaman. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Miko looked at her, confused. Mayaman? Sinong mayaman? Ako ba yung tinutukoy mo? He chuckled, a humorless sound. Daisy, kung alam mo lang. Kung alam mo lang kung gaano ako kalayo sa pagiging mayaman ngayon. Daisy stared at him. Was he telling the truth? Or was this another one of his mysteries? Yung paraan ng pananalita niya, yung mga kilos niya, they still didn't add up. Hindi kita maintindihan, Miko, Daisy said, shaking her head. Ang gulo mo. Sobrang gulo mo. She turned and ran inside their kubo, leaving Miko alone on the bench, the lopsided rose still in the glass of water, silent testament to a connection that was both terrifying and undeniably real. That night, Daisy couldn't sleep. Miko's words echoed in her mind. Naniwala ka na bang may taong mamahalin ka, di dahil sa itsura mo lang? Yung puso mo, Daisy, alam kong mabuti yan. She wanted to believe him. Oh, how she wanted to believe him. Pero yung takot, yung alaala ng kahihiyan. Yung pangako niya sa sarili, they were too strong. Hindi ako makikinig sa mayaman, she whispered to herself in the darkness. But a small, traitorous voice in her heart whispered back, pero paano kung hindi siya tulad nila? Paano kung siya na yung iba? The lungkot and galit from her past were battling with new, fragile hope. And Daisy didn't know which one would win. The conversation outside the kubo, Miko's earnest questions, and Daisy's defensive retort, hindi ako makikinig sa mayaman, left an unspoken tension between them. Miko seemed genuinely confused by her outburst, while Daisy was even more determined to keep her distance, her old vow echoing louder in her ears. Sa palengke, they reverted to their old dynamic, Daisy, the feisty prinsesa ng tilapia, and Miko, the clumsy but hard-working pahinante. Pero may nagbago. Yung mga titig ni Miko mas malalim na, mas mapanuri. At si Daisy, kahit pilit niyang itinatago, she found herself watching him too, analyzing his every move, every word, trying to decipher the enigma that he was. One afternoon, Mang Rusty asked Daisy to go to the barangay hall to process some permits for their fish stall. It was a hot, dusty walk, and Daisy was already feeling irritable. As she neared the barangay hall, her eyes caught a familiar figure standing across the street, near a shaded alley. Si Miko. Pero hindi iyon ang nakapagpatigil sa kanya. It was what Miko was doing. He was talking to a man in crisp, white barong, the kind usually worn with drivers of rich people. And then, Miko gestured towards a sleek, black SUV parked discreetly in the alley. Isang mamahaling kotse na halatang hindi bagay sa itsura ni Miko. Daisy's heart pounded. Anong ginagawa ni Miko doon? Sino yung kausap niya? At kaninong kotse yun? Curiosity, mixed with growing sense of suspicion, got the better of her. Forgetting about the permits, Daisy discreetly followed Miko. Nakita niyang pumasok si Miko sa passenger seat ng AC, at yung lalaking nakabarong, umikot para mag-drive. The car then smoothly pulled out of the alley and headed towards the national highway, away from Giriv. Amihan. Without thinking, Daisy hailed the nearest tricycle. Manong, pakisundan po yung itim na kotse na iyon, she instructed, pointing at the disappearing Isli. The tricycle driver, sensing some chismis-worthy drama, eagerly complied. Nako, ma'am, mukhang may hinahabol kayong atraso, ah. Daisy didn't reply, her eyes glued to the SUV. Saan pupunta si Miko? At bakit kailangan niya pang magtago? The chase led them out of their small town, past rice fields and coconut groves, and towards a more exclusive, secluded part of the coastline known for its luxurious private resorts and villas. The LED turned into a heavily guarded gate, the named Villa Estrella emblazoned on Grand Archway. The tricycle couldn't follow them inside. Daisy paid the driver, her mind racing. Villa Estrella. Isa yun sa pinakamahal at pinaka-eksklusibong resort sa buong probinsya. Anong ginagawa ni Miko doon? Determined to find out, Daisy found a small, overgrown path that seemed to lead towards the back of the resort. Maingat siyang naglakad, trying to be as inconspicuous as possible. Finally, through a thicket of bamboo, she saw it, a sprawling, modern villa with panoramic view of the ocean. And there, on the veranda, sipping what looked like an expensive iced tea, was Miko. Pero hindi na siya si Miko, ang lampa at mukhang mahirap na pahinante. He was dressed in a clean, well-fitting polo shirt and linen pants. His hair was neatly combed. He looked different. Relaxed. Confident. At yung driver na nakabarong kanina, nakatayo sa tabi niya, parang alalay. Then, Daisy heard voices. Isang matandang lalaki, mukhang kagalang-galang at halatang mayaman, ang lumabas sa villa at umupo sa tabi ni Miko. They started talking, their voices too low for Daisy to hear clearly, but the body language was unmistakable. They were familiar, comfortable with each other. Daisy's world tilted. Hindi to si Miko. O, mas tamang sabihin, yung Miko na kilala niya, yung pahinante sa palengke, ay isang kasinungalingan. This man, lounging on the veranda of a luxurious villa, being served by a personal driver, this was someone else entirely. Galit. Selos. Pagkadismaya. Lahat naghalo-halo sa dibdib ni Daisy. All this time, niloloko lang pala siya ni Miko. All his talk about being poor, about needing a job, it was all an act. Really? Anong motibo niya? Suddenly, Daisy remembered a snippet of conversation she had overheard between Miko and his father, the older man, as she crept closer. Words like arranged marriage, business partner's daughter, escape, hiding. Arranged marriage. Naglayas siya para makatakas sa arranged marriage. So, yung pagiging mikot niya, yung pagtatrabaho sa palengke. Yun ang paraan niya para magtago. Daisy felt tipang of something. Hindi lang galit. May halong pag-intindi. But the betrayal was still too strong. He had lied to her father, to everyone in Birhiv. Amihan. She didn't confront him then. Masyadong marami ang iniisip niya. Masyadong masakit. She quietly slipped away, her mind a whirlwind of emotions. The next day at the palenque, Daisy was a different person. She was cold, distant, her usual feisty banter gone. She treated Miko with chilling politeness that was more unnerving than her usual scoldings. Miko, blissfully unaware of Daisy's discovery, was confused. Daisy, may problema ba? He asked, concern in his voice. Galit ka ba sa akin? Daisy just gave him a tight, forced smile. Wala. Bakit naman ako magagalit sa'yo, Miko? Ang bait-bait mo nga, di ba? The sarcasm was thick, but Miko didn't seem to catch it. That afternoon, Daisy accidentally cooked too much tinola for their lunch. She offered a bowl to Miko. Oh, Miko, baka gusto mo. Paborito mo to, di ba? She said, her voice deceptively sweet. Miko's face lit up. Talaga, Daisy. Salamat. He eagerly took the bowl and started eating. Ang sarap, Daisy. Masarap pa talagang magluto. Daisy watched him, her smile never wavering, but her eyes were cold as ice. Masarap naman talaga, paggaling sa panloloko, di ba? She said, her voice soft, almost a whisper. Miko stopped eating, a confused look on his face. Ha? Anong sabi mo, Daisy? Wala, Daisy said, her smile turning brittle. Sabi ko, ubusin mo na yan. Baka lumamig pa yung kasinungalingan mo. She turned and walked away, leaving Miko staring after her, a spoonful of tinola halfway to his lips, the dawning realization and a growing fear in his eyes. The silent war had begun. Daisy knew his secret. And she wasn't going to make it easy for him. Hindi mo alam, Miko, pero may alam ako. At sisiguraduhin kong pagsisisihan mo ang araw na niloko mo ang prinsesa ng tilapia. The jealous she felt wasn't just about another woman anymore. It was about being deceived, about being made a fool of. And the galit was a raging fire, fueled guilt, betrayed trust, and a heart that, despite everything, had started to care for the lying, deceiving, infuriatingly charming pahinante named Miko. Or whatever his real name was. The silent war was more exhausting than Daisy had anticipated. Ang hirap magpanggap na okay lang, na wala siyang alam, habang sa loob-loob niya, gusto na niyang isumbat lahat kay Miko. Bawat ngiti ni Miko, bawat salamat, daisik nito, parang lalong nagpapatingkad sa kasinungalingan. She would give him the coldest shoulder, the most sarcastic remarks, and the most back-breaking tasks she could think of. Pero si Miko parang walang nararamdaman. O, mas tamang sabihin, pilit niyang hindi pinapansin ang lamig ni Daisy, patuloy pa rin sa kanyang pagiging Miko, ang masipag pero lampang pahinante. Pero isang gabi, hindi na nakatiis si Miko. The tension between them had become too thick, too suffocating. After a particularly grueling day at the palanque where Daisy had been exceptionally cold, Miko waited for her outside their kubo, just as the first drops of a looming storm began to fall. May dala itong isang maliit, medyo laylay ng pampaswerte na halaman, yung klase na laging nakasabit sa mga tindahan. Daisy, sandali lang, Miko said, his voice pleading. Mag-usap naman tayo. Ano bang problema? Bakit parang ang laki ng galit mo sa akin? Daisy just stared at him, her arms crossed, the wind whipping her hair around her face. Galit? Ako? Sa'yo? Bakit naman ako magagalit sa isang tulad mo, Miko? Her voice was dripping with sarcasm. Daisy, please, Miko stepped closer. Kung may nagawa man akong mali, sabihin mo. Handa akong humingi ng tawad. Handa akong itama. The rain started to pour, heavy and relentless, drenching them both in seconds. Pero hindi sila natinag. Itama? Daisy loved, a harsh, bitter sound that was almost drowned out beside the thunder. Paano mo itatama ang isang kasinungalingan, Miko? O dapat bang? Miguel ang itawag ko sa'yo. Miguel de la Cruz? Miko froze. The color drained from his face. He looked like he had been struck by lightning. Paano mo nalaman? Hindi mahalaga kung paano ko nalaman. Daisy shouted, the rain mixing with the tears that were now streaming down her face. Ang mahalaga, niloko mo kami. Niloko mo si Itay. Niloko mo ako. Akala namin, isa kang simpleng tao na nangangailangan ng tulong. Pero ano ka pala? Isang anak mayaman na nagtatago. Naglalaro. Pinagtitripan mo lang ba kami, Miguel? The sakit and lungkot in her voice were palpable. Hindi, Daisy. Hindi yun totoo. Miko insisted, his voice desperate. Nagtago ako. Tumakas ako. Pero hindi ko kayo pinaglaruan. Yung pagtatrabaho ko sa inyo, yung mga araw na kasama ko kayo. Yun ang pinakatotoong naramdaman ko sa buong buhay ko. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a single, rain-soaked red rose, the petals bruised and falling. Para sa'yo to, Daisy. Kahit alam kong galit ka. Daisy just stared at the rose, then at Miko's anguished face. For a moment, her anger wavered. But the betrayal, the lies, they were too deep. Ayoko niyan, she said, her voice cold. Ayoko ng kahit anong galing sayo, Miguel de la Cruz. She turned and ran towards their kubo, leaving Miko standing alone in the pouring rain, the crushed rose falling from his trembling hand. Miko watched her go, his heart shattering. He had to make her understand. He had to ask for her forgiveness. Without thinking, he ran towards his old, battered motorcycle parked nearby, the one he used for Miko's persona. He had to talk to her. Now. He sped through the storm-lashed streets of Kyiv. Amihan, the rain blinding him, the wind howling in his ears. All he could think about was Daisy, her tear-streaked face, the pain in her eyes. Patawarin mo ako, Daisy. Please, patawarin mo ako. Then, it happened. Sa isang madilim na kanto, may biglang tumawid na aso. Miko swerved to avoid it. The motorcycle skidded on the slippery road. Nagpreno siya ng todo. May narinig siyang malakas na sigaw. Then, deafening crash. Darkness. Eksenang mabagal, yung motor tumilapon. Si Miko tumalsik. Yung ulo niya tumama sa semento. Dugo. Dugo sa sahig, humahalo sa tubig ulan. Bumagsak si Miko, walang malay. Daisy, inside the kubo, heard the commotion, the shouts, the screech of tires. A cold dread washed over her. Miko. She ran outside, back into the storm. Nakita niya ang mga taong nagkukumpulan sa kanto. And then, she saw him. Nakahandusay. Duguan. Walang malay. Miko, she screamed, pushing her way through the crowd. The sight that greeted her made her knees buckle. Ang daming dugo. Someone had already called for an ambulance. Daisy knelt beside Miko, her hands trembling. Miko! Miko, gumising ka. Please. She touched his face. It was cold. Too cold. The ambulance arrived, its siren wailing a mournful song. They carefully loaded Miko onto a stretcher. Daisy, despite her earlier anger, insisted on going with him. Hindi niya kayang iwan si Miko ng ganun. Sa ospital, it was a blur of frantic doctors, nurses, and the sterile smell of antiseptic. Daisy waited outside the emergency room, her clothes still damp, her heart pounding with a fear so intense it felt like it would stop. This was her fault. Kung hindi siya nagalit, kung hindi siya tumakbo. After what felt like an eternity, the doctor came out. Miss Sandoval. Ako po, Daisy said, her voice barely a whisper. Kamusta po siya? He's stable for now, the doctor said. But he sustained a serious head injury. We're still running some tests. We need to observe him closely. When Daisy was finally allowed to see Miko, he was lying in a hospital bed, his head bandaged, and his drip attached to his arm. He looked so pale, so fragile. Daisy sat beside him, gently taking his hand. It was cold. She stayed there for hours, watching him, praying. The anger was gone, replaced by a deep, aching lungkot and his profound sense of sakripisyo. Kung kailangan siya ang masaktan, wag lang si Miko. Late that night, Miko stared. His eyes fluttered open. He looked around, confused. Then, his gaze landed on Daisy. Daisy G. He whispered, his voice hoarse. Relief washed over Daisy. Miko. Gising ka na. Salamat sa Diyos. Miko frowned, his eyes clouded with confusion. He looked at her, then at his surroundings, then back at her. Sino ka? He asked, his voice weak. Nasaan ako? At bakit mo ako kilala? Daisy's heart stopped. Sino ka? Hindi siya naaalala ni Miko. Miko, she stammered, tears welling up in her eyes. Ako to si Daisy. Miko just stared at her, his expression blank. Daisy. Pasensya na, miss, pero hindi kita matandaan. He paused, then asked, with genuine, childlike confusion, ikaw ba yung kapatid ko? The words were like a dagger to Daisy's heart. Kapatid, hindi lang niya kinalimutan ang galit niya, kinalimutan na rin niya kung sino si Daisy sa buhay niya. Ang sakit. Sobrang sakit. But looking at Miko's innocent, confused face, Daisy knew she couldn't break down. Not now. He needed her. With tears streaming down her face, Daisy gently wiped the sweat from Miko's forehead. Hindi mo ako kilala, Miko, she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Pero kilala kita. At nandito lang ako. Hindi kita iiwanan. Aksidente o karma? Daisy didn't know. All she knew was that the man she had started to fall in love with, the man who had lied to her but also showed her kindness, had lost his memory. And despite the pain, despite the uncertainty, she made a choice. A choice born out of a love that was stronger than anger, stronger than betrayal, stronger even than forgotten memories. She would stay. She would care for him. Kahit pa para sa kanya, isa na lang siyang estranghero. Days turned into weeks, and Miko's memory showed no signs of returning. Ang tanging naaalala lang niya ay ang pangalan niya, Miguel de la Cruz, at ilang scattered, vague images from his childhood. Ang Rishi. Amihan, ang palengke, ang pamilya ni Daisy, at si Daisy mismo lahat yun, blanco. His parents, upon learning of the accident, had rushed to his side. They were relieved he was alive, but also strangely distant. They arranged for the best doctors, the best care, but there was an undeniable tension, an unspoken history that even Miko, in his amnesiac state, seemed to sense. Si Daisy, she became a constant presence in Miko's hospital room, and later, when he was discharged, sa Villa Estrella kung saan siya pansamantalang pinatuloy ng mga magulang niya. She wasn't his kapatid, as he initially thought. The doctors, and Miko's parents, had gently explained to him that Daisy was a concerned friend from Amihan who had been with him during the accident. Miko accepted this, though he would often look at Daisy with a puzzled frown, as if trying to place her in his jumbled memories. Kilala ba talaga kita, Daisy? He would ask, his voice laced with childlike innocence that tugged at Daisy's heart. Kasi parang pamilyar ka. Pero hindi ko maalala kung saan. Nagkakilala tayo sa Amihan, Miko, Daisy would reply, her voice gentle, her heart aching. Nagtrabaho ka sa amin sa palengke. She didn't mention his lies, his hidden identity. What was the point? He wouldn't remember it anyway. Sa kabila ng lahat, Miko found himself drawn to Daisy. He liked her presence. He liked her quiet strength, the way she would patiently answer his repetitive questions, the way her eyes would soften when she thought he wasn't looking. He didn't remember her, but his heart seemed to recognize something. Isang pamilyar na init, isang hindi maipaliwanag na koneksyon. Minsan, habang naglalakad-lakad si Miko sa malawak na hardin ng Villa Estrella, trying to jog his memory, bigla siyang napahinto. May naamoy siyang pamilyar. Amoy ng isda. At dagat. Napatingin siya sa paligid, parang may hinahanap pero hindi niya alam kung ano. Daisy, who was walking a few paces behind him, noticed his confusion. Miko, okay ka lang? Daisy, he said, turning to her, his eyes wide. May naaamoy ako. Parang palengke. Daisy smiled sadly. Dati kasi, yun ang mundo mo, Miko. Yun ang mundo natin. He would also have strange jikivu moments. One time, Daisy brought him lugaw, the same kind she had cooked for him when he first had fever. As Miko took a spoonful, his eyes widened. Ang sarap nito, he said, a nostalgic look on his face. Parang natikman ko na to dati. Masarap na masarap. Another time, they were watching a cooking show on TV, and the chef was preparing tinola. Miko suddenly blurted out, paborito ko yan. Lalo na pag maraming malunggay. He looked surprised by his own outburst. Paano ko nalaman iyon? Daisy just smiled, her heart aching with a mixture of pag-asa and lungkot. His mind might have forgotten, but his senses, his heart they remembered. Pati yung yakap ni Daisy pamilyar. One evening, Miko had a particularly bad headache, a common side effect of his injury. He was restless, agitated. Daisy, without thinking, gently pulled him into a hug, stroking his back, humming a soft, nameless tune. Miko instantly relaxed in her arms, his head resting on her shoulder. Ang gaan sa pakiramdam, he whispered. Parang laging ganito. Parang tahanan. Daisy's eyes welled up. Tahanan. If only he knew. Despite his amnesia, or maybe because of it, Miko found himself falling for Daisy all over again. He loved her kindness, her patience, her quiet strength. He loved the way her eyes would sparkle when she talked about the sea, or the way her nose would crinkle when she was trying not to laugh at his clumsy attempts to relearn simple tasks. Daisy, he confessed one starlit night, as they sat on the veranda, much like they did on that first night in the mansion, kahit wala akong maalala, kahit hindi kita kilala noon ang puso ko, kumakabog pag nandyan ka. Feeling ko, ligtas ako. Feeling ko, masaya ako. Siguro, mahal na kita. Daisy stared at him, her heart doing a wild somersault. Mahal na siya ni Miko. Ulit? Kahit hindi siya nito naaalala? The kilig was so intense, it almost overshadowed the pain of his forgotten memories. Miko, she began, not knowing what to say. Just then, a group of children from Bahaghari home, who had come to visit Kuya Mikot with Sister Agnes, ran onto the veranda. One of them, a little boy named Tutoy, whom Miko had been particularly fond of during his time in Amihan, shouted, Kuya Miko. Kuya Miko! May dala kaming drawing para sayo. Tutoy proudly held up a crayon drawing. It was a crude but recognizable depiction of Miko, Daisy, and the kids from Bahaghari home, all smiling, standing in front of their fish stall in the palenque. In the drawing, Miko was holding a bowl of tinola. As Miko looked at the drawing, something clicked in his mind. Images flashed before his eyes, fast and furious. Daisy, buhusan siya ng tubig dagat. Mang Rusty, offering him a job. Siya, nahuhulog sa tricycad. Daisy, nagluluto ng lugaw. Yung lasa ng tinola na may kasamang pait ng kasinungalingan. Siya, tumatakbo sa ulan, may hawak na rosas. Ang sakit ng pagbagsak. Ang malamig na kamay ni Daisy habang pinupunasan ang pawis niya. Tinola ni. Miko whispered, his eyes widening. Ang palengke ang ulan ang rosas di. He looked at Daisy, really looked at her, and this time, there was recognition in his eyes. A flood of memories, emotions, pain, and love, all rushing back. Daisy G. He said, his voice choked with emotion. Naaalala ko na. Naaalala na kita. Daisy gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. And Miko. He stood up, his legs a bit shaky, and walked towards her. He gently cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs wiping away the tears that were streaming down her cheeks. Ikaw pala, he whispered, his voice filled with an overwhelming tenderness and regret. Ikaw pala ang mahal ko. Noon. At ngayon. Daisy couldn't speak. She just stared at him, her heart overflowing. He remembered. He remembered her. Patawarin mo ako, Daisy, Miko continued, his own eyes welling up. Patawarin mo ako sa lahat ng kasinungalingan ko. Sa lahat ng sakit na naidulot ko sa'yo. Ang tanga-tanga ko. Daisy finally found her voice. Alam ko hindi mo na ako mahal noon, Miko, she said, her voice trembling, echoing the pain of his amnesia. Pero sapat na sa akin na buhay ka. Sapat na iyon. Miko shook his head. He pulled her into a fierce, desperate hug. Hindi totoo yan, Daisy. Minahal kita. Minahal kita mula pa nung una, kahit pilit kong itinatanggi.